Today, my passion is the 49ers.
Beastmode will be on the field on Sunday night for the Seahawks. We've seen footage of him in practice. We heard from Russell Wilson saying that he looks good. A win for Seattle means the NFC West title and a shot, of course, at that #1 seed. Should, Nate, the Niners be worried about Marshawn Lynch?
Definitely, Kay. Listen, if you're a football player in this league, you got to worry about a few things. You got to worry about that third cousin that isn't really related to you from your mama's side.
Yes.
Coming and asking you for $1,000. You got to worry about shipping your car at the end of the season when you're not in the playoffs. You got to worry about Uncle Sam coming and get a whole bunch of that money. He's like, yo, you in the top tax bracket? Let me go ahead and get all of that cash. And the last thing you got to worry about is Marshawn Lynch when he put pads on. I don't care if Marshawn Lynch was 40 years old. He is one of those dudes that will always carry grown man strength. Yes, they should be worried. And if they're not, Marshawn Lynch will embarrass one of these defenders, and he will be on angry runs.
It's very pro wrestling. There's a heart versus a head versus what you expect from Marshawn. It's the whole, like, that's Marshawn Lynch's music. What's he doing here? And sometimes when those little guys come back, it's like The Rock or Shawn Michaels, they look great, and they really have. And then, like, I mean, did you see The Undertaker's come back? It was not pretty. Like, he was, like, almost in a back brace. It was not good. And if I am the Niners D, I'm looking at my head right now, I'm saying, I really liked watching Marshawn when I was in high school. But this year we faced Nick Chubb, Christian McCaffrey, Kamara, Gurley, guys in their primes ready to go. We're not worried about this old man. We're going to wrap him the hell up. That's what I'd say.
Am I worried about him? No, but is it not a great thing having him come out of that tunnel in Week 17? I'd rather it be some other guy off the street. Trust me, I'm not going to name names, but there are a million running backs looking for gigs. I would rather that guy be out of the tunnel.
You'd rather see Turbin, right?
I'd rather see Turbin and then some others than Marshawn Lynch. At the sheer emotion of that first quarter, that might be an impact enough that could actually set the tone for the building. I am worried about what he brings to the team. I don't think he's going $183 touchdowns.
Right.
Yeah, but you can almost see it when I'm sure we'll show that Russell Wilson bit again where he's talking about what he looks like. He's got like a smile on his face, like he looks like he's ready to play the whole game.
That could be dangerous, that smile.
It's like acting as if he's going to go for 200.
You said $183. Maybe all he needs is 102.
Beastmode's mentality is going to make him successful, especially in today's NFL. Like, yeah, they're going to know that when the guard pulls, he's going to be right here. Beastmode's going to run the ball right here. But then you have to actually physically have an encounter with him.
Yeah.
And that's where he has the advantage. Mentally, he's at a different level. He's always been. Simply because of the things he's been through, simply because of his life,
yes.
Right? And so that's what Marshawn brings. He brings street credibility. Guys are going to wait. It's guys on that San Francisco 49er team, and I know a lot of those guys. I know Richard Sherman is talking to him, and he's telling him, hey, bro, when you hit him, he ain't normal. You got to rap. You got to dig. You got to drive your legs. He's going to bring that to this team. And that's what they've been missing, really, ever since he left out of the locker room. Something that another team has to say, oh, whoa. Forget the X's and O's. I might have to make a business decision.
Bro,
tackling
exactly. We saw clips of Marshawn running the football. And I love Marcus Peters. Love him. He didn't want to tackle Marshawn Lynch.
And they cousins.
And not a lot of exactly. Not a lot of people want to tackle Marshawn Lynch. You talked about the impact he's going to have from a mentality standpoint. You're right. He runs the ball differently because of his experiences in life. Just tell him that, look, this football thing is easy. I'm used to real life. And so, yeah, I think Marshawn Lynch will make a huge impact on this game. But, you know, I flip sides to the 49ers defense, and I think about some of these guys, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, who stepped in for Quan Alexander. These are guys who have been playing great football. When you got a dude across from you who you know is going to bring it, you get to see what I'm made of. And so watching Fred Warner play and watching this, this 49ers defense, I think it's going to bring the best out of them too. And so I can't wait to watch the matchup, the chess match between, both teams to see what they do. Because you're right. Beast Mode will take your heart from you. And I think this 49ers defense is, I think they're ready for the challenge.
Quarterback Russell Wilson is a perfect 8-0 against the 49ers at home with a point differential of plus 136. Bobby, what are you looking for in this showdown?
Well, they're bringing in, the running back class, it seems, of 2014. Their backfield talent, they're hopping in the DeLorean. They're going way back. If you look at Robert Turbin, they brought him back. He'll probably have a bigger impact, I think, on the game. But Marshawn Lynch, the emotional energy, the way that this guy runs the football, the way that he's going to hopefully inspire the rest of his team, because this is a team right now, they're looking for answers on offense. They've got to find a way. They can't just put it all on Russell Wilson. And defensively, they're okay. I don't know if they're good enough. But if you look at Marshawn Lynch, last season he was not bad. He had 4.2 per carry, which puts him ahead of Austin Eckler. He's in the top 30 backs of this season in the NFL. So if he's in shape, he can come out and make plays, and not a ton. But if they can get him 8 to 10 carries, he has a classic beast mode run, maybe at home, up there, in Seattle that you love so much. Maybe they can get it done.
See, Bobby, here's where I disagree with you a little bit. I think Marshawn has to make a ton of plays. I don't know that 8 carries for 32 yards is enough. When I look at this Seahawks team, and when you peel back some of the layers and you really look at the Seahawks team, I think they're really a running team first. I don't know if sub 50-yard performance from Marshawn is going to do it. I say they're a running team because when you can run the ball, now the linebackers, you got to cheat up, which now lets Russell Wilson do what Russ does best. So I think Marshawn's going to have a huge day. I think he's the most important player on the field that game.
Yeah, you know what? I think he's going to have a big game. I think he will exceed people's expectations. The thing, though, that I really believe about this football game is that this is now the time for the 49ers to really announce their arrival. It's time for a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo to go into a hostile environment, regardless of how beat up the Seahawks are. We all know what that field is like. We know what CenturyLink is like. It's different now. It's a whole different decibel level that they mess around with up there. And he needs to go up there and show that not only are they a good running team, which Kyle Shanahan and his father before him, Mike Shanahan, can scheme up better than anyone. Jimmy has to show, along with Kyle, that they can throw the football around the yard as well as anybody, too, because they have got weapons. They have really, really upgraded the wide receiver position in particular. Deebo Samuel is a beast, okay? Remember that name. I think he will be a huge player in this game. George Kittle's always a huge player in the game. And Jimmy Garoppolo is one of those guys who right now is making people believe in San Francisco. I think they'll win the game.
Kittle, who was not in the last game, and obviously that makes a big difference. I don't agree with you that Marshawn Lynch is key to unlocking Russell Wilson in this offense, but I do agree that he'll be an important piece in this game, and here's why. This Niners defense over the last few weeks, they're not the same Niners defense of the first few weeks. Actually have been the worst in opposing QBR recently, and you've seen mobile quarterbacks get outside the pocket, bootleg out, and tear him up on the outside. The way the Niners responded to Los Angeles was by setting contain. When you do that, you open up the middle to the run. You make yourself vulnerable. That's where Marshawn needs to step up if the Niners make those adjustments, Bobby.
No, I think that they'll be able to do that. I think he's going to be able to get something. I just don't know. The San Francisco offense, to me, is too good. They've got too many weapons. And this is what it's going to come down to with Jimmy Garoppolo. He was paid a ton of money. He's been injured. They didn't pay him all this money to get to this point and then go get a wild card. This is why you're paid all of those dollars as a quarterback, not to get us to 12-4, to get us to 13-3, and be the guy that gets us that #1 seed. So we're playing at home, and everybody has to now come to us.
And for Jimmy G, to Lewis's point, this is a playoff game. Let's call a spade a spade. You're on the road, hostile environment. Yes, the playoffs don't officially start till next week, but this is the time for everybody to know Jimmy G is for real, the Niners are for real, and we'll learn a lot about the Seahawks now and their maligned running back unit.
Eric Dickerson with us this morning. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
All right. How much difference do you think Marshawn's going to make?
I think he can make a difference. You know, as well as you know this, it's different than being in shape, in football shape. It's a difference. You know, those legs, you know, and you know, that you can pull something. I feel like this. I think the crowd will get into it. I think he'll be into it. And I think if it starts off good, who knows what can happen. I mean, he could get 13 to 15 carries. If he has a run, let's say an 8-yard run, the crowd will go crazy. Right. I mean, they'll get into it. And if he has something bigger than that, they'll go bananas. I think the best thing is he knows this offense. You know, he's been in it before. He doesn't have to go back and learn it. It would be like if right now, me at 29 years old, if we went back and I had to go play for the Rams with John Robinson, and if Vince Ferragamo called a play, I'm like, oh, I know that play. Right. You just know it. Yeah. You know that play. So that's the best part of it. And they're at home. So I think he will contribute. I really do believe. I think he'll contribute. I just don't know how much he'll contribute. But I think it'll be good for him.
I think the big reason they signed him, as you mentioned, because he knows the offense. They also brought back Robert Turbin, who played in this offense. Skip. It's hard for me to believe that a guy can be sitting on his couch. And the thing is, Skip, we've heard this, and you cover the game, and ED, you know, I know you. Man, I could have caught that play. Or I could have ran. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. Look, and I tell people, I said, let's put it like this. There's riding your bicycle, and then there's in the Tour de France. There's catching the football in your homeboys in the backyard, and there's playing NFL tackle football where people get paid for a living. Yeah. And so for him to get up off his couch, it's not easy. That all of a sudden you've been like, okay, yeah, I know you've done this before, but to all of a sudden to reacclimate your body, because it takes you a while to understand where those hits are coming from, how to fall again. Skip, look, I wish him the best, but he's going to be sore. I mean, yeah, well, he crammed 16 workouts in 8 days. Which of them required him getting hit by other players? None.
Those trainers with gloves on. You know?
No, trust me, those gloves are softer than the helmet. So I don't really know how much he's going to help. I mean, I believe he'll get. I mean, how many carries can he get? Skip, like I said, he's not even close to football shape. Skip, they said it took Zeke 3 to 4 weeks to get in football shape. As at the beginning of the season. Here we are at the end of the season.
Yep.
At the end of the season, you're right.
And what has Marshawn's primary source of nutrition been?
Skittles.
Breakfast of champions.
Breakfast of champions. That's actually Diet Mountain Dew, but that's a whole nother. So, I'm trying to figure out whether this is a good stat or a bad stat. This man has played all of 21 games over the last 4 football seasons, which is not a lot of football in 4 seasons.
Right.
So is that a good thing for a running back or a bad thing? I'm going to go good thing because I do believe this man is a freakish talent of a running back because he has not good feet, but great feet. He doesn't have great speed. He's not you, but he just has, he was born with a knack to run the football and run it hard, but run it smart hard. That's just me. Like he's got a freakish sort of gift to him. And again, this team parted ways. The Legion of Boom was torn apart by one play and one Super Bowl, one decision to throw it instead of hand it to beast mode, right? That was the end of that team as we sort of knew it because it splintered. It just split apart. And they had to choose, and they chose the quarterback. So they stuck with Russell Wilson, which is probably the right thing to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But now he's back. And I just have this feeling, at least in this game, he's going to have a dramatic impact. Maybe not so much in stats, but just in presence. He's beast mode, and he's back in that stadium, and that crowd is going to go, you said bananas.
They are.
They will go bananas, especially if he could have a couple of 5 or 6 yard runs to get them cranked at the start. So I think it was a beautiful move because, boy, it's like on a silver platter. He does know the offense, and he knows what it feels like to be in a game of this magnitude. And I love this move. I just think it's going I'm going to pick Seattle. I'm picking Seattle to win this game. I don't know. You still going?
I'm going 49ers.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It's a tough one, but I'm going Seattle just because of his presence.
At home, I'm going to take the Seahawks, too.
Okay,
I'm gonna
at home.
I'm going to take the at home.
Okay, and just for fun, because it's arguably the greatest run ever, I would like to see one more time the birth of Beast Mode run, and it was in a playoff game back on January the 8th of 2011, and this is a 67-yard run, and I don't know, there might be 9 missed tackles on this run. Ooh, God,
You get Tracy Porter. He's like, I ain't good. Hey, he got 20 more yards. He's like, I want the ball. He's like, I'm good.
The guy's going, 20 years from that, man, look at that run.
Hey,
look how he pushed you out the way. Look how he pushed you out the way. Right. Get out of the way right now.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Marshawn Lynch. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this yet, Mike Robb.
I got to spill the tea.
The Seahawks signing their old friend after losing Chris Carson and CJ Prosise. Big spot for Marshawn against this Niners second-ranked run defense with playoff positioning on the line. So what's up with your guy?
Yeah, he ready to come on back. Yeah, he told me about a few months ago, hey, Mike, dog, I'm getting that itch again. And then I came in, I'm like, Jeezy, what's up? What's up?
And I did a little report.
You did a little report about it.
Not yet.
And, yeah, he's ready to go. I mean, he's been working out, obviously recovering from a core injury that he had. And he basically told me, hey, Mike, I love the game of football. Because my whole thing to him was, why come back, bro? Like, you got a Super Bowl, you got money, you got businesses. All of that, why come back? I think he really wants that number 24 to be immortally, retired in Seattle at some point. And quite frankly, if they hand him the ball on the 1 in Super Bowl 49, I'm not sure that he comes back. But, hey.
Unfinished business.
Unfinished business.
Yes, sir.
It's a really nice time of year to come back for him.
There it is.
So nothing's changed as far as press conferences, although he smiles a little bit more. Brian, you think Lynch will have a real impact as the Seahawks attempt to make a Super Bowl run?
Well, I don't know that he's going to have the impact that he once had as far as his ability on the field. But the biggest thing that he's going to bring back to this locker room is attitude. And that's what this thing in Seattle was built on. You remember the Legion of Boom. You remember what happened with the offense just trying to play bully ball and run through people. That was started by Marshawn Lynch because he brought the attitude. He brought that passion. And so he brings that back to an offense that really with Chris Carson, you had that same type of thing. A running back that was willing to run through a wall for this football team, a running game that defenses had to respect, third best in the league. And the other part to that I love is that when you have that type of running game, it allows Russell Wilson to do the things that he does best, play fakes and then throw the ball deep. That allows Lockett to get involved in the game. That allows Metcalf to get involved in the game. And Marshawn brings that to this table. The other thing that brings is pass blocking ability. Rashad Penny, who got hurt a couple weeks ago, he just wasn't very good in pass blocking. Marshawn Lynch is very good at pass protection. And the last time they played the 49ers, like they'll play this week, the 49ers had 5 sacks. So he will help protect the quarterback. I think he brings all those things. The biggest question is impact on the field. Will he be game ready? It's just hard to tell. It's hard to think that you've been off for a complete season and you're coming back and you're ready to play a football game. But he's going to bring that passion, that attitude, and maybe that's the edge that the Seahawks need.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to help in the locker room. As you said, the attitude. Also, he's a connection to the glory years, where the Super Bowl and all that. So I think all that's great. And also, if you look at his last 2 years in Oakland, where they weren't typical Marshawn Lynch years, however, he averaged 4.2 yards a carry. That's right around his career average of 4.3 and better than some of his years when he averaged below 4 yards a carry. So that would tell you that, you know, a lot of guys, when they retire as running backs, you can see it in their yards per carry just dropping drastically. That's not the case with him. Maybe the rest did his body good. He's only 33, which I know that's old for a running back. But, you know, some guys are playing a little longer. We saw C.J. Anderson. I know it wasn't the same situation he had been with Carolina, but he had been cut. He goes to the Rams and plays well. And as you said, their offensive line, obviously they give up a lot of sacks, but they can run block. You know, Chris Carson and Rashad Penny had great success. So I think there'll be holes for Lynch to run through. So I'm going to say he'll have a pretty decent impact on that team.
Here's where I think Marshawn Lynch is going to have the biggest impact, because I don't think he's going to be great. And I love Marshawn. I think he's one of the most interesting people in sports. And the dichotomy between how he feels talking to the media and how he feels talking to people he's comfortable with, I think is really fascinating. And I think he's
never been a beat writer.
Well, no, I get that part of it. I've never been the one having to ask him the questions. But the reason I think it's going to be good for Seattle potentially is I think it's going to force them out of this archaic offense they've been running the last few years, which is use Russell Wilson in case of emergency instead of use Russell Wilson like he's Russell bleeping Wilson. Last year, they lost the playoff game to the Cowboys because they were so insistent on staying committed to the run, even though every time Russell Wilson dropped back, they got around 9 yards per play, and every time they ran the football, they got around 3 or fewer yards per play. The Seahawks have overachieved to their talent this year. Now, I was higher on them than most. I had them winning the division going into this season. But if you look at their point differential compared to their win-loss record, they do not line up. They have a gaudy win-loss record despite not having blown out anyone this year except for the one game against the Cardinals, and they went and promptly lost to the Cardinals second time around. They are escaping through great Russell Wilson plays at the end of games, other teams making mistakes at the end of games. The only way that they're going to be able to go on a real playoff run is if they are forced into, because Pete Carroll doesn't want to do it, the coordinator up there doesn't want to do it, as far as, you know what, Russell, you're one of the 3 best people in the entire world at what you do. Drop back 40 times and make magic happen. Now, you might say that's not Seattle Seahawks football. Correct. But if they are going to beat more talented teams, it's going to be not because Marshawn Lynch all of a sudden, to me, looks like 2014. It's going to be because you don't have Chris Carson, you don't have Rashad Penny, you don't have C.J. Procise, and you have no choice but to say, you know what, Russell, make magic happen. That, to me, is the bigger story here, that we wouldn't be talking about Seattle adding a running back if it was anyone other than this guy right here, because you're adding a replacement-level player at this point in the season. Now, maybe he'll be brilliant, and that'd be a cool story as well. But I think the story of this is, does it make them use their best player the way they should have been using their best player the last couple of years?
They had the option of doing that all season long, but their run game had been that good because their offensive line had blocked well enough. I think, and so I do agree with you. They're going to have to score some points here. They're going to have to put up 24, 27 points a game. Russell Wilson certainly has the ability to do that. But I also believe that Marshawn gives you that 3rd and 1, hand the ball off to 24. Let him go ahead and get those yards. He gives you those attitude plays, which make a difference in the game. It makes a difference on the sideline and in the locker room. They also know that a guy, and to your point, he's a throwback to the past. He's a guy that has been there and done that, has been a Super Bowl champion. He certainly would have been another Super Bowl champion if they would have handed him the football. And so when I look at Marshawn, it's much more than just what Russell Wilson is going to do. It's about the attitude, the collective attitude for the team.
But do you think they're going to go further because of Marshawn Lynch? Does anyone here think the Seattle Seahawks are a better team this year because of adding him?
I don't think so. I don't think they're a better team. I think Chris Carson probably fit their offense
a little
the best.
bit better.
But, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get from Marshawn. The good thing for Marshawn Lynch is that he wasn't built, as far as his career-wise, especially on speed. It wasn't, because as you get older, you lose your speed. He was built on running people over, toughness, aggressive running, and that's something, that's an attitude. Right. That's something that could come back with you no matter what age you are. If his speed comes back just a little bit in the next couple of weeks, that gives this Seattle offense an advantage.
And the pass blocking point you two made is really, really important one.